Hey everyone, Emmanuel here. Okay, I'm gonna show you today some strength and yeah, more of a strength, I guess. It would definitely be, but it's on the milder side of strength. It's kind of working with a little bit more intention. It's a little bit more, I don't want to call it gentle, but definitely a lot more focused. You can't just zone out on this. So you don't need much for this class, okay? You only need two pieces of equipment. Very simple. You can get both of these things at Home Depot. So this is, I think it's yeah, I'm assuming it's about, yeah, maybe a 4 foot, maybe just under 4 foot dowel. It's the biggest dowel that you can find. I think it's like about an inch and a quarter or something. And then I just took that and cut that in half. So I have like a stick and a half, okay? Now, when it comes to strength, I'd like to touch on not just one, but kind of multiple angles or multiple levels of working with strength. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So if you look at the human body, the muscles are structured in such a way that some muscles pull and some muscles push. So you got to keep that in mind. And we'll work with both in this case, right? So you want to strengthen the muscles that are pulling muscles and the ones that are pushing muscles. Okay. Um, and some are closing muscles and some are opening muscles. It's a similar idea, right? With the shorter stick, it just allows you to work like more within the frame of the shoulders and the hips. And with a longer stick, it can work more like the length, like a length of a full arm or like a leg or the spine. So I use these two tools very simply to complement, other stuff that I do, like push-ups and body weight exercises and calisthenics. And so the stick is just a nice change. And I find that with a stick, I can actually start working into the joint and start working more in these smaller muscles that I guess we don't get to as easily. So kind of an interesting workout. So let me show you what I mean, and hopefully you enjoy it and implement it into your training routine. So again, everything I ever do, I'm always breathing. So always remember that. I'm not going to focus specifically on the breath, and hopefully you see me breathing properly. But nonetheless, there's always breath here. Okay, we're never at a point where we're holding our breath. The breath might change under the effort, but nonetheless, there's always breath there. Okay, so let's start. With the hands and fingers specific, because a lot of athletes have just damaged and buggered up their fingers in many ways, right? So with the stick, I kind of like take it, and there's many different ways you can do this. You can start by kind of just working with just the wrapping, but not the palm, more like the fingers, kind of the way they wrap. So I'm squeezing the stick just with my fingers. I'm not trying to get into the palm, okay? And then I can also push into the stick with my fingers. So there's really like everything I kind of show, guys, I hope you know, is like I'm giving you my interpretation of it and I'm giving you some ideas. But like all stuff in Systema, it's not meant to be owned, it's meant to be shared. And then you take it a deeper level, maybe with your background and with your injury and your issues or things that happen to you. Maybe there's different issues with your fingers, right? Or with your hands or anything that I'm showing. So there's a lot of creativity in how I express Systema. That's why I stick away from saying A, B, C, D, because maybe you can develop a whole new alphabet with this. I don't know. So I don't want to limit it to just just do what I say. I give you some ideas, much like a musician would say, hey, here's a nice riff and here's a nice chord progression. But then maybe your ears heard a different one and you do something else, and it's all music. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now, in this specific session, I'm working on effort that comes from inside me outwards. Okay. So the moment I'm grabbing the stick with my fingers, I'm thinking the movement I'm generating is coming from inside of me. So it's like I'm motivating myself from inside. So, if, there's two ways of motivating people. Maybe somebody says something I didn't like and it made me upset, or I thought about something and I got upset. Or so strength can be delivered from what I see or what I think. So in this case, I'm working with my mind. So I'm thinking about squeezing my fingers, and I'm communicating that effort to my fingers, okay? And both hands are gonna work at the same time, okay? Now, as you can see, fingers are curling in and the thumb is pushing. So it's kind of like this on both hands, right? And I'm trying to relax everything else. I'm trying to get what I need into my fingers, only in my thumbs in this case, okay? And then I'm gonna start to change. Maybe I'm gonna take two over. So these two are squeezing, or these two are pushing out. So I'm kind of pushing out with these two, they're pushing out, and these two are pushing in, okay? And my thumb is just kind of hanging around. And I can work with this kind of idea like in so many ways. I'm just showing you my fingers now. So again, there's pushing and pulling muscles. And the fingers, I mean, if you ever look at kind of a skeletal and muscular, so there's tons of muscles in the hands, right? So I'm trying to stay away from my palms in this case. The muscles of the palm and in that part are different. I'm trying to just work with fingers. And for those of you that are guitarists or piano players, you know what I mean, right? So there's endless amounts. The dexterity in the fingers is pretty incredible. So inside my brain, I'm saying to myself, push, pull, and I'm communicating that message outwards to my hands. And I'm letting the pressure fall towards the stick. So it's hard to see this, but there's quite a bit of tension on the stick now. And there's quite a bit of tension on my fingers. And then I'm gonna move it. I don't know, I hold it about 20, 30 seconds maybe, right? In different ways. And naturally, what ends up happening is as I relax, I start to kind of involve more of my hand. Okay, so it could be a fist position, but not necessarily. It can be, you know, in different grips, right? And again, I'm thinking about, in this case, breaking the stick in half. So I'm trying to snap it this way, right? I'm not trying to use my shoulders. I'm trying to relax my chest and my shoulders, and I'm trying to bring all the effort into the hands. I might have one hand up, one hand down, right? So this hand is pushing in, this hand is pushing out, and there's pressure and tonus on the stick. And again, I'm really trying my hardest not to load up my elbows, my neck. I'm putting all the effort into my hands now. So it went from my fingers and now it's going into my hands, which of course will be my wrists. And so now what I'm doing is I'm trying to make this spiral thing with my fist. And of course I can't because the stick is there. I'm doing the same with this. I'm trying to turn this way or this way, right? And it's creating, of course, the stick is not allowing me to do that. But what I'm doing now is I'm in my mind creating an effort and a direction. So now I'm twisting. So I'm twisting this way and I'm twisting that way. I'm relaxing again my shoulders, my neck, my elbows, and I'm putting all the effort into my hands, okay? And I'm just changing positions and trying different. Now I'm trying to break the stick this way. And it's, you know, for me, it's muscular. I can actually start to feel now how if I just let my mind and say forearms. So right now, the only thing I've changed in my mind is I've said forearms. And now I'm feeling this part and I'm feeling the ulna and the radius, the two bones in my arm. I feel them obviously get stronger and the muscles around it get stronger. I'm really paying attention to my shoulders now because I don't want them to lock up at all. I want to work with my forearm, which is into the elbow as well. So I've got my fingers, my fist, my wrist, and my forearm now that are feeling rather strong. I'm kind of doing this twisting motion. So this hand's going up or down, this hand's going down or up. They're opposites each other. And I'm trying to, when I'm doing this, of course, with strength, there comes a point where if I tense up my arms enough, I can actually feel the bone lock up. So I can feel the two bones, the ulna and the radius, kind of locking up because the muscles are tight, right? And what I'm trying to do is trying to find that sweet spot where my muscles are active, but I don't feel that the bone is so locked. Like I don't want it to be so strong that I can't move. Like I want mobile strength, so I want to be able to find this. So I start to move the stick a little bit, almost like, you know, maybe you're kayaking or something like that. And I'm trying to make sure that my forearm feels very strong. My elbows feel strong as well, but I can move them. They're not so strong that they're completely locked and stable. And remember, I have movements like this, movements like this. I have twisting movements. I have, and when you do stuff like this, right? Like I'm really strong in the fist, wrists, and forearms, not in the shoulders. I feel like the power is coming from my mind. Like I'm really generating this from my mind. I'm saying, get that pickle jar open. It's not like I want to break the pickle jar. I want to open it. So it's like I want to, kind of really get this. And then there's the other way too, right? So there's the opening and then there's the closing versions, right? And of course, I'm breathing. I'm talking now because I need to talk for the video. Now I'm going to shift my focus to the upper arm, which is the biceps and triceps, humerus in the bone. And I can feel, now I feel the muscles of the upper arm and of course into the shoulder, right? So again, this is so strong that everything is locked. So my wrist, my fist, my forearm, my elbow, my shoulders, everything's locked. It's really powerful, but I want to take a little off and be able to feel my muscles, but still be able to move my joints, right? And every angle that I take with the stick, every separation that I do will allow me, I should be able to feel these parts. So there is enough effort that I feel my muscles and that I feel the bone moving, but not enough that I'm locking myself. And every position I take will change, right? Every angle I use, every time I rotate a wrist or rotate a shoulder, I'm working through the joints, right? Effort level here is like 6 out of 10. Like I'm not, like I'm able to talk here, right? I'm able to show you guys. It's, yeah. And what's nice about this is you don't need anything. Like it's, anybody can do this. I mean, I showed this to my mom, who is 78 and or maybe 79. Anyway, I can check. And she can do it too. And you can see the muscles working. If I don't have a t-shirt on now, it's quite cold in Toronto these days, so got my track jacket on, but you can actually physically see your muscles working. It's just really nice if you do it in front of a mirror. Just don't build vanity. Anyway, so, and you can do it from different angles, right? There's all these different positions, right? That you could possibly imagine. Now, I could take the exact same series of things and just relax my arms and muscles and make it a stretch. Okay, so there's no doubt, and that feels really nice, especially after you've worked with strength. So after I've kind of done this for a bit, it feels so nice to not tense up my arms and just kind of move and stretch them, right? So that's also a possibility. Now there's two ways. I talk to you about pushing and pulling muscles, right? So you can twist into the stick. I could imagine pulling the stick apart, or I could imagine compressing the stick. So, I mean, this is an exaggeration because I've got my palms on either side, right? But imagine me, trying to squeeze that stick in, or imagine me trying to pull it out like unsheathing a sword, right? Like pulling it in opposite directions. So in this case, I'm going to be pushing in, okay? So I'm pushing in and any angle is fine, right? Like, and as I push in, obviously I feel my muscles, whether it's over my head, behind my head, beside my head, right? I feel like Madonna now, strike a pose, Vogue. Anyway, I really feel all the muscles quite nicely in this case, like I really feel that in my mind, I'm imagining this, like trying to bring my hands together. But of course I have a stick that's stopping me in between. I could use my palm like this, or I could grab it. And again, the visual is pushing in. And again, I can do it from almost any angle. I could bend towards my toes and do this. I can really, the sky's the limit with this kind of stuff, right? Any movement that I make, whether my arms are beside me or over my head or behind my head or even in this position. So the idea here is that I'm pushing in, okay? So as you can see, you're only limited by your own creativity. And I've stopped now, just we've done this maybe 5 minutes, and I can feel my arms really alive. Like they feel like I've almost pumped them up, right? Like I feel like I've just brought blood towards them, right? And they feel, I don't know how to explain it. The words that come to my mind are full. Like they feel like they don't feel tired. But the joints, the shoulder, in other words, my arm feels like one big piece. It doesn't feel like, sometimes when people work out with various weights, they feel their bodies like in parts, like biceps, triceps, they feel it like this, but they don't feel the whole body as one. In this, because I'm activating my mind and I'm giving myself a visual, right, of squeezing or pulling or twisting, I feel like I'm connected with my mind, right? There's a lot of times I watch people working out and they're disconnected from themselves. They're just their mission is just curls, or push-ups, and they're disconnected from the mind. There's not that attention. I'm trying to bring as much mental attention through visualization of what I want to my arms, and then allowing that to happen. So now I'm going to pull apart. So again, my hands can be together, they can be wider apart, they can be in different positions, but I'm thinking of pulling apart. Okay. So as you can see, these are the muscles of the back, like posterior chain. When I'm thinking of squeezing or pushing in, it's all the muscles mostly in the front, right? But there's definitely crossover in all the angles. So right now I'm thinking of pulling apart. So if I let go, my arms want to open up this way. So they start really simple. I just got maybe, a little bit of effort, going this way. And then I'll start like with a clock. I'll say, okay, this is 9 and 3. There's, 8 and 2 or something. And then you keep working your way around the clock, right? And every time you change, even by like an hour, like from here, it would be, I would say, 10 and 4, and here's 11 and 5, and then 6 and 12, right? Different muscles get activated. I can actually feel them, especially through my back or through my arm. And then I can change it where I'm pulling out in different ways, right? So I've got this, it's not a stretch. I'm not stretching now. I guess it could be. There is stretching through strength. There's no doubt. But my focus is more on keeping a constant effort pushing out. So the effort is not, I guess it's hard to show this, but the effort's not on, off, on, off. Like I'm picking an effort level and I'm trying to keep it constant. So if I'm 6 out of 10, if I'm really trying to pull this apart, as I'm going from one to the other, I'm not relaxing, going there, pushing. I'm keeping 6 out of 10 tension on the stick all the time. So I actually really do feel my muscles working. Okay. And I can feel the chest taking over. I can feel the back taking over. I can feel the rhomboids in the back working now. Like there is enough effort for you to feel the muscles working. And of course, they're stretching because you're moving them around, right? Short stick, really, really useful for that kind of stuff. I also get into different parts because I'm just showing you my arm, right? But I really like the short stick for the neck area. Now, I played a lot of athletics in my life, so wrestled, rugby, a lot of the contact sports, football as well. And it was quite necessary to have a strong neck. But in saying that, I've also seen a lot of people with very strong necks damage their neck, and I'm sure everybody watching this will know somebody that's hurt their neck. There's two problems you have. If you don't do anything, the muscles of the neck get so weak that tomorrow if something happens, they won't be able to support the neck. So you do need a little strength training, maybe not as much as what I've seen, but I'll show you how you can use the stick. It's really nice. So I'm putting my chin. So you can see my beard now, but anyway, I'm putting my chin on the stick roughly at level, with my, where I would have good posture. And I'm very gradually pushing down, and I can feel the muscles of this front of my neck working, right? So it's like I'm pushing down. And then, as much resistance as you like. I mean, don't get obsessed. You don't need to go here, but I'm trying to push down. I can feel the muscles of the front working. And then very slowly, I'm going to let that go after about 10 seconds. And then maybe put the stick kind of on the back of my head. So again, I always want to know where good posture is. So my head is straight and I'm leaning back. Okay. Now, it's a stick, right? There's not a lot of cushioning on your heads. Mind you, some people have more padding than others. Nonetheless, I'm leaning back and I can feel the muscles of the back of the neck, right? Which is really nice. And it's almost amazing how the moment I push back, I can feel it through my whole spine and my posture improves instantly. My chest opens up, I start to really feel where the good posture is. And then I might move it to the side of my head. And now I'm leaning this way. I'm leaning into the stick this way. So really the sky's the limit, anywhere you like. I mean, of course you can do it with your hand. I mean, there's nothing stopping that. What I like about the stick though, is that if I generate the power from what I'm thinking, so in my mind, I'm saying push forward and I'm leaning forward into the stick. Where sometimes with my hand, because it's more comfortable, I just feel like I can push more, which takes it away from what I want. It's always good for people to know that, like, I'm not thinking of driving through this wooden stick. That's so crazy. I'm not, a little bit older than I was. I'm not 16 here. So I'm pushing, but I realize if I push too hard, it hurts, which is exactly what I never want you to forget. There's, much like exercises like this, where I'm applying effort to break the stick, if I try too hard, it actually hurts. So I want a low level effort. I want an effort that I can sustain, but never forget about myself. And that's where a lot of people, they forget that, to humanize and to humble yourself, right? Maybe you're quite strong, but you can always be run over by a car. And, you should never forget that when you're crossing the street. It's like, it should humble us, those things, right? So, and this is another example. So I'm pushing down. The visual is I'm trying to break the stick on my head. But what it does is I'm pushing my spine up. So I'm creating good posture. And if I push too hard, it hurts. So I don't want to push too hard. I just need to push enough that I feel good posture. And when I take it off, I still feel the stick kind of there, but I don't feel like it hurt me. Okay. So the short stick is great for the neck. Okay. The neck area. The other part I like the short stick is on the ground. So I've been showing a lot of stuff on the upper body, right? Like the arms and now the neck. The short stick works really, really well on the bottom for the feet. So I step on the stick, and at the beginning, it's kind of like a massage for my feet, which feels great, right? And if you're going to do it like that, just a little different from what I'm showing. If you're going to do it like this, and you have a lot of pain in your foot, just please remember to not tense up your knees. Okay, so even though you feel pain in your foot, try to relax your knees. You don't want to lock up your knees with a pain signal, which you see people do often. Like much like when people step on a Lego or something really sharp, they see the whole body. As soon as the pain hits the foot, the whole body locks up, knees, back, even hands and face. Just feel pain in your foot. Now, what I want in this is much like I did, I'm trying to step on the stick and I'm trying to grab it with my toes and my feet. Now, they don't work as good as my hands, that's for sure. But I'm not, in this case, I'm not just feeling a massage, but I'm trying to step on the stick and I'm trying to grab it. Like I'm trying to wrap my foot, my toes around those different parts of the stick, right? Hard to show. I mean, I'm just trying to give you a good visual. Like in this case, I'm grabbing the stick with my toes like I did my fingers. And then I'm going sideways and I'm still grabbing with my toes, obviously not as good. And then the same with my foot. So I'm trying to grab or bring strength to my foot as I'm on this stick. For people that, especially nowadays where the footwear is so good that we wear, and the ground is so level and so clean and straight, that our feet don't get that same I guess movement, and we've lost that sensitivity that we have in years past. The footwear is good, the ground is very good. So this, I find this kind of wakes up my my feet and gives me really, really strong feet. Now, as most of you know, I'm a martial artist by background, but I've also a huge health guy as well. I've been working out and taking care of myself for longer than martial arts, to be honest with you, but very close. And having healthy, strong feet is really imperative. I've seen a lot of people damage their feet. I've seen a lot of athletes that wear those cleats and shoes that are quite hard, have lots of foot issues, ankle issues. So this really strengthens the feet. It really strengthens, massages, relaxes, stretches them. Again, the key that I want you to take away today is not just the massage aspect, but actually I'm stepping and grabbing. I'm trying to tighten up. And again, at the beginning, maybe it's hard for you, but it'll get better with time, okay? So the short stick is really good for stuff like this, just kind of like stepping and then grabbing, right? Grabbing the stick with your foot. Boy, my feet feel great right now. Ooh, that feels nice. So the next one, so there's really endless amounts. I'm just giving you some examples. So here's the short stick. Now let's get to the long stick, okay? Long stick is, I don't know, it's very indicative for me of the, like the leg, like, you look at, like it's long like the leg, right? And it's also long like, your arms almost stretched out, or your spine. So the same series of drills that you did with the short stick, you can do with the long stick. The difference now is your arms are further apart, okay? And so in this case, I'm squeezing in, okay? So this time, because my shoulders and my arms are further apart, as I squeeze in, I now can feel more of my muscles working in my body, right? So in my mind, I'm saying squeeze in, so I can feel a lot more of my body. So I'm contracting the muscles of the body. I'm contracting the muscles of the arms. And again, I want to be able to feel my muscles, right? But I also want to be able to move my bones, right? And this is where I find is the big distinction. Now I can play with the length. I can relax my elbows to bring them closer to my body, or I can lengthen them and straighten them. And so I'm really focusing on squeezing the stick in like this. Of course, breathing. And again, you can think of the clock. There's 3 and 9, and just work the clock around, right? Again, not focusing on the stretch. You might feel a stretch, but it's at stretch under tension at range. So there's a lot of people that are quite flexible, but at complete stretch, like let's say I exaggerate this and I really stretch out my arm, right? So my arm is at full stretch, okay? I'm relaxing my shoulder, I get a little extra inch out there, and now I strengthen that arm. So I want power, not power, I guess strength would be more of a thing. I want strength in my arms, in my body when I'm really stretched, right? I want it through a broad range, right? So if it were a sports car, you see that sports car will have power at certain RPMs, or revs per minute, revolutions per minute. But then there are other cars that just have power all over the range. Like you got it at 1,000 RPM straight up to 9,000 RPMs. And these are usually motorcycles have this kind of power, but now with electric cars, you can see that they're powerful at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the speed. So which is, if anybody's driven a Tesla yet, you'll know what I mean. It's ridiculous how much power those electric cars have these days compared to gas cars. So I'm working a range, okay? So I'm squeezing in. Now, in this one, this specific, I'm not squeezing in now. Now I'm squeezing in. This one is an interesting one because my arms are pulling out now. Okay, they're not going in. I really have to think about pushing them in. It's difficult because this is an awkward position to be pushing in. This is right. So as you move the stick around in different positions, it can be even a bent position, right? It can be on the side. I'm always thinking of squeezing in. And I'm also thinking of keeping a nice steady movement. Yeah. Yeah, something about the long stick, it stretches out your arms and you realize that you need to focus on the muscles here. With a short stick, not as much because the arms are in a closer position. So something to think about. Now I'm gonna, instead of pushing in, I'm gonna think of pulling out. Again, working the pulling muscles as compared to the pushing muscles. So I am pushing out now, not in. So my hands want to open. So I can definitely feel the back muscles. And then as I start to move this, it's the same. I'm trying to pull out, but in this case, it's very easy to pull out. This position is really easy to pull out. This one's pretty good. Yeah. So I just work my way around, and I guess I could step with my feet. I guess what I love about this is I'm working with, my main focus is strength, but there are definitely times where I can feel powerful, but a stretch as well, which is really nice. You know, it's like developing flexibility through a range of motion with strength, which is really, really nice for how I guess we need our bodies to work, right? It's not like just strength and just flexibility. They kind of need to have both almost at the same time. Awesome. Great. Okay. Now, the similar idea with the legs. So the long stick is great for the legs as well. So I'll give you an example. I'm going to wrap my leg around the stick. So watch again. I'm coming from the inside of the stick. I'm wrapping around and my ankle catches. Okay. So I've got my ankle, my knee, and the stick on the outside of my hip. And what I'm trying to do now is straighten my leg. Now, of course, I can't because I have a stick in between. If you're strong enough and your legs are strong enough to break this stick, that's awesome. I have seen somebody do it, not myself personally. Great. The focus is, in my mind, I want to straighten my leg. So I want my leg to do that. But in between that is a stick. And when I do this, I really feel different parts, especially my knee and my ankle. I really feel them working hard under the strain. I'm gonna try it with your other leg too. So again, the leg comes from the inside. It wraps around with the knee and the foot on the inside. So you have hip, knee, foot, and I'm trying to straighten my leg down. Obviously, it's challenging. I feel this mostly in my ankle, just because I did a lot of ankle flexibility stuff last week. So I can feel that my ankles are feeling different type of flexibility. But now I'm asking them to be strong in this awkward position, right? Great. And when I take the stick away, my legs feel quite different. Yeah, they feel really interesting. Another one with the legs is I thread the stick between, okay? So with this arm, with my right arm, I'm pushing against my thigh, and with my left hand, I'm pulling against my hamstring. And again, the visual is I'm trying to break the stick with my leg. So there's a synergy. In this leg, my right leg is pushing forward, my right arm is pushing backwards. On this side, my left leg is pushing back and my left arm is pulling forward, okay? And I literally, the visual is I'm trying to break this stick. I hold it for like 10, 15 seconds, and then I switch it. So now it's reversed. My right arm is pulling and my right leg is pushing back. My left arm is pushing back and my left leg is pushing forward. And I'm really trying to visualize snapping the stick if I can. Awesome. Whew, that feels nice. A few other ones that I'll leave you with to play with is I use this on my, let's say, chest, right? So I put it on my across my chest, under my armpits, and what I'm trying to do now is bring my chest forward, bring my arms back, and try to see if I can snap the stick with my chest. Now, much like I showed with the head, the harder I try to do this, it causes me some pain. So I'm not trying too hard. I'm trying to break the stick, but I realize that if I try too hard, there's a point where it just hurts and I stop. And I try to think of that visual of breaking the stick rather than hurting myself. Okay. And this is such an important lesson, guys. Like all of athletics, when we do something, has a plus and a minus, has a benefit, but at some point, if we do it too much without care, we're actually hurting ourselves, right? We want to strengthen our body. We don't want to wear it out. We want to bring awareness. We don't want to bring like zoning out, so to speak, right? So the same idea. I have the stick in my back, my arms to my elbows. I'm pushing forward with my arms. I'm pushing back with the stick, and I'm trying to break it across my back. And again, if I push too hard, I feel my biceps because the stick's across the biceps. And if I push too hard on my back, I feel it on my spine. So I just go a little bit, just enough to feel my muscles. I relax and stay with the visual of like, I want the stick to break. And it, of course, it won't. It could if you're so strong, but at what cost? Make sure that we never forget that, right? That we understand. Like I've done a lot of athletics in my life, and you know, I got to quite high levels of strength, but then, you know, then you start seeing injuries mount up because you work so hard at focusing on the strength aspects that you forget that your body has a limit to it, right? And if it's not recovered enough, or if there's an underlying condition, it can happen, right? Bad things can happen. So with this, if you try too hard, it hurts, which is, I like this because it's almost like a built-in air brake for if you try too hard, it tells you right away that something's wrong. So just to recap quickly and then allow you. A long stick, short stick, these ones are just from Home Depot, inexpensive. I think it was like $6.95, and the other one I just cut in half. So you don't need a lot, and it can work with a good amount of strength with this. Remember, there's pulling and pushing, or pulling and squeezing of the sticks, the different sizes of the stick. There's rotating of the sticks, like twisting it, right, in and out. And then in your mind, you want to be internally motivated, right? So like I was explaining, there's two ways of motivating, but there's more ways, but let's say it's two ways. So if I need to go over there, I can be motivated in many ways. I can be motivated because I see something that worries me or concerns me, so I go to that thing. Or I can be motivated by what I think, right? Like I might see something that in my mind said, that's really wrong, and I'm going, or I see something that is so bad, I rush in. So you can be motivated by what you think or what you feel, and also by what you see. In this case, it's what I think and what I feel, right? So I give a good visual of what I want, breaking a stick, tearing a stick apart, you know, these kind of visuals, you know, that the power comes from in and goes out. So I grab the stick with my hand. I'm not squeezing from the hands, the forearms here. I'm thinking in my mind, squeezing, and it comes from my mind. And the power and the thoughts come this way, not this way. So it really is the same here. I'm thinking about a broken stick across my chest, and as I think about it, I'm doing it. Okay. Very important attribute and a habit to get into, to think about what you want to do and then go do it. It's really nice because a lot of people think, but they never do anything. So it's really interesting to think about those things and then go do them, right? So if I wanted to go running, let's say I think about running 5 kilometers, I go run 5 kilometers. If I can't run 5 kilometers, I shouldn't think about it. I should think about 1 kilometer. And I think about 1 kilometer and I do it. This way you start to get good at thinking and doing what you thought you're going to do. Otherwise, you're not thinking the right things. You should think what you can do first, and then start thinking about stretching yourself, right? So this is good for motivation to be able to, don't say think 20 push-ups, but then you can only do 5. You know, think about 5 push-ups, do 5 push-ups will be better for you. And then after that, you can start, you know, stretching your thinking a little bit or reaching a little bit more. But at the early stages, it's not good to fail like this, right? Teach yourself to think something that you can do. Okay, so stick, that's it. And I will show you some different ones next week. This is a wonderful tool for really easy things to do. That what I like is it touches on so many things. I like right now, even just not really focusing on the workout, but focusing on teaching it. My body feels different, you know, it feels healthier, it feels more connected. I feel like I work a lot of muscles that I don't know, little muscles. And I also have a lot of energy. Like it doesn't tire me. Even though I know my muscles are working, I don't feel tired. So it's like I'm not just burning sugar, you know, I'm not just working through the muscles, I'm working through ligaments and tendons and flexibility and strength and pushing and pulling. And this starts to release more energy rather than fatigue. So really interesting workout as a complement to some of the other stuff that you guys do. Hope it helps, and I will see you next week for some more training on maybe strength. I want to focus a little bit more on strength this week and how to become strong, not just physically, but involving the mind as well. So a little bit more mentally strong as well as physically strong. Okay. See you everybody next week. Bye, everybody.